It says recording, but there ain't no face in there. Ah, thank you.
Anybody got some tape by chance? Dr. Rafi? Anybody no tape? The boy, you got some tape? You said no volume? Alright, turn it over there. Yeah, let's turn it up a second. How about now? Can you hear me? Alright, work it out. Done. It's time to get crazy.
Wait, where's the force?
Turn it on. Islam, everybody.
Islam.
I'd like to request the permission of my elders to speak.
Permission granted, brother.
Y'all forgive me for the very late start. It's been a hectic day. It's about to be a hectic week. So we're going to just jump right into it. Last class we talked about writ writing, we talked about status, we talked about jurisdiction. And we thoroughly went into status and thoroughly went into jurisdiction. And I got a couple things on the front of the page here. The first thing you see is management of time and discipline. This comes from a meeting we had last week. So it's a couple things we're going to go into there. And then if you look down to the bottom of the page, you'll see the 8 parts of speech, and you turn it over and you see some more figures of speech. And the reason I put this stuff together is because if you're going to write writs, then you should be knowing how to write, or you should be understanding how to write somewhat. I know a lot of this stuff we haven't seen since, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade or something like that. Verbs and pronouns and all of that type of thing. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. But before we do, we're going to talk about management of time and discipline. Spell this right? Yeah, it didn't look right. Now I'm going to ask y'all a question and just be honest. Just by a show of hands, how many people in here have discipline? Be honest.
That's what?
Have discipline. Be honest, don't lie. I have discipline. Now, when you talk about discipline, and you say you have discipline, does that mean if you go back on something you said you was going to do, you're not disciplined?
Yeah.
It does? Y'all gonna talk to me today, or I'm gonna stand here and just
We
be
do it
looking
all,
at every blank face?
we do it a lot. We do it a lot,
We
but
do
we
it a lot.
gotta learn not
We
to
do it a lot.
do that.
A lot of people say I'm gonna do something and you go, you do a little bit of procrastinating, you play around, and you say, all right, I'm gonna get to it, and before you know it, it's too late to get to it. It's already gone. So at some point, we all have to actually just like kind of barrel down and sit down and figure out what it is that we really want. Because we say we want a lot. I want this, I want that. I want this, I want that. If you really want what you say you want, then you're going to have to do some sacrificing to get it. And sacrifice comes along with discipline. Sacrifice is a big word. A lot of people don't like sacrifice. Because what's that mean? That means you have to go or do without something. And usually it's something that you want or something that you like. So at some point, you got to discipline yourself and you got to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to step back and I'm not going to do this. Me, for example, I like potato chips. Probably, a couple people know that. I like potato chips. Probably more than anybody should. But, because I got a couple little health issues going on, some cholesterol and stuff like that, I can't do chips. I can take a bag like that and put them away all by myself. Don't need none of your help. So it takes extreme discipline because it's almost, for me to go in the store and see a bag of chips, it's almost like putting a crackhead in the crack house and just leaving them in there. You're going to smoke all the crack, I'm going to eat all the chips. So it takes extreme discipline for me to say, all right, I'm not going to do it. Now, It might seem like that's a small thing to some people. They say, oh man, it's only chips. But addiction is addiction. Whether it's chips, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's laziness, whether it's crack, whatever it is, addiction is addiction. And it takes extreme discipline to fix an addiction. A lot of us got what we call excuse making down pat. Well, I couldn't be there because of this, so I was a little late because of that. I ain't making no excuse today, I was late. I ain't making no excuse. I was late. I don't make an effort. I mean, I don't make what's the word I'm looking for? A habit. I don't make a habit out of being late. I'm not going to show up late every chance I get. I'm not just going to keep on pushing the envelope and just keep showing up at 12:05 and 12:10 and 12:20 and 12:40. We can't keep on doing that. At some point, we got to learn discipline. We got to learn management of time. We talked about time in the class before. Anybody got a circle 7 I can use? Thanks, brother. Leave the media, huh? We talked about time before. So I even spoke about time up there in Canaan land with y'all guys. But yeah, I just want to ask, anybody got any perceptions or any ideas on what time is? Go ahead, bro.
A measurement.
A measurement of what?
All things on the plane made manifest.
Time is a function of matter. And matter is all things pertaining to the physical existence that we're in. So things are noticed by time.
Chapter 1, bro. For all men. Anybody else, Tom? Go ahead, bro.
Time is emittance. The word emit, which is really time backwards, was to emit something, to bring something forth.
To emit something, to bring something forth. James, you had a comment?
Yeah, I got a problem with that because I don't think our ancestors measured time like we do today. And the reason is, since we're there, when I see a lot of videos going back to the ancient ones, how long did they live? I mean, they got their sons and their sons' father fighting with them in these wars. I consciously want to know how long they lived. But the time is not being measured like we measure time today. That's a problem in my head. I'm trying to, maybe Taj can answer why that is. Their sons are fighting with the fathers in these wars. I mean, the son had to grow from a baby to the size of the father to be fighting in these wars. And then the son takes over. He's fighting 100 years in these wars. So the time can't be measured like this because when did they die? You understand what I'm saying, Taj?
Listen.
That's like I have to ask these chematologists how this works because they're showing on the walls, it's right there on the walls, and they're telling us, but how did they work time? Because it can't be the same. Because a baby coming up with his father, working with his father, the father had to be older than the child.
Anybody know how they measure time in Kevin?
See, I don't know that.
38 hours.
38 hours to what?
Go ahead.
30 hours.
Sundown.
Thank you.
Exactly.
They measured it by a sundial. Something that was on the ground. That's the sun up there. And the dial casts a shadow. When the sun, I mean, even today, you can use that tree outside for a sundial.
Yeah, they still use them.
Well, I'm just saying for for people who don't know.
Yeah.
You can use that tree outside as a sundial. That sun is going to rise in that east. And if you pay attention to where that sun is positioned on that tree at a specific time, then you know at that next morning that it's 9 o'clock because that sun is shining. That sun don't move. The sun don't move. The earth does. The sun doesn't move. It's just sitting there. So you measure it by shadows. That's how they measure time by shadows back then. Now we measure time by this.
It's wrong.
The problem is, whether it's wrong or not, we measure time by this. And the problem is, outside of measuring time, we also govern by this clock.
Yeah, but the Romans changed that, even to the
Let me,
dates.
let me finish, James.
Oh, go ahead.
We're governed by this clock. If we know we're supposed to be somewhere at a specific time, we look at the clock and say, I still got 30 minutes. When in reality, you know you're running behind. Some people will even set their clock a minute, 10 or 15 minutes forward to try to fool themselves, but one thing you can't do is lie to yourself because you know the truth. So you can't lie to yourself. If you set your clock 15 minutes ahead, you already know it's 15 minutes ahead because you set it. There's no such thing as lying to yourself. I can lie to you, but I can't possibly lie to me. I already know the truth.
That's why you can't lie to God.
Right? So when we can stop being governed by this and start being governed by yourself, then you can forget all about this, and then time will just be just that, a measurement. A measurement of what? A measurement of thought. It's simple. Govern yourself. Learn discipline. Stop being governed by that clock. So when it's time for you to be somewhere, and you know you need to be there at 10 o'clock, you ain't rushing out at 9:37. Discipline. The first question I put on this page is, can we control our emotions? So I spoke on emotion before, and I'm asking y'all, can we control our emotions?
I don't think so.
It depends on the we who you're talking about.
When I say we, I'm talking about everybody in a whole. I ain't talking about me and you. I'm talking about people as a whole.
Yes and no.
Okay, so give me the no first. All right, then give me the yes.
Yes.
Okay.
To that question, yeah, we can, because we must learn to discipline ourselves, and that comes with work and practice. Well, go ahead.
No, I think I was going to say something similar to what he's saying. Emotions arise because of the different things that we may be involved in, but it is up to us to control them. If we don't control our emotions, then we cannot accomplish anything. It goes back to your first statement about discipline. And control comes about because of being disciplined. But yes, we can control our emotions.
Go ahead, James.
I think we're all dirty, especially the elders, of how we were raised. We were dummied down. And we think at times we do control it, and then we find out we don't control it. Even with me thinking that I control things, there's time where I come into my feelings instead of staying in the status if I'm going to write a writ, and that's not a good thing to do. But we try, but it's something we have to teach ourselves to do.
So I put emotions up here on the board. That's what these little faces are, different emotions, right? So I
Got
asked
Jim.
this question before. Go ahead, Jim.
Right here. I said you can't control our emotion.
You say we can't.
You cannot. You cannot control your emotion.
Okay.
Emotion is inside, in you. You should be able to get yourself to the point where you act and do from your mind what is right to do, or so forth. But with the emotion is going to be there. But the thing is, what we have is not to be controlled by the emotion, is how we act against that emotion, not act against the emotion, but with the emotion. In other words, you may be afraid of something. Being afraid doesn't make you say you could be cowardice. So that's what I say about it.
Go ahead, bro. He said, what he said is he doesn't think that emotions can be controlled. So I'm gonna pose this question to everybody here and also everybody in Canaan land as well. just by show of hands, how many people think that you cannot control your emotions? 1, 2, 3 here. So I'm assuming everybody else who didn't raise their hands cannot. How many people think that they cannot control their emotions? All right, so nobody in Canaan land raised their hand, and only 3 people here raised their hands. I know for a fact that we can control our emotions. Now, remember that I always say this: everybody's perception is their own. What I see, she may not see. What I see, she may not see. And what I see, the brothers in Canaan land might not see. But from somebody who had a serious attitude problem, and somebody who just loved to fight and just cause all kinds of mayhem, I'm not that way anymore. I control it. It's a full-time job, but I control it. Now, one of y'all in here, well, let me say not one of y'all, some of y'all, but for the most part, y'all never seen me flipping out. Y'all never seen me snapping and cursing and yelling, and people done pissed me off in here to the point to where I was ready to say, turn the camera off. Put your hand down, man. To the point where I was ready to say, turn the camera off. Now, some of y'all may have seen me. The last time the brother was standing right here, and I balled my fist up as tight as I could, almost poked a hole in my hand with my fingernails. But I controlled it. That emotion that I controlled is called anger. Because I wanted to break his face. You can come in here and you yelling at my women, and no. You raising your voice in here, are you crazy? I straightened him out, we ain't seen him since. But the point that I'm making is I control my emotion because I wanted to kick his ass. Forgive me, he's a child, man. But, yeah, but the point that I'm making is I control that.
But the point is, you say you felt that.
I felt it.
So that was in here. You
Right.
controlled it
I controlled the action.
because you are the master of you.
Exactly. So I control my emotion. Because if I let my emotion get the best of me, then we fight.
But the emotion, you just not said, the emotion is there.
Listen, you can't change emotion. I'm not saying stopping it. I say control it. I'm not saying stop it. I can't stop myself from getting mad. I can't stop myself from laughing.
Right.
I can't stop myself from feeling sad. I'm not saying stop it. I'm saying control it.
Right.
Control.
Right.
You control it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So
Everybody got that.
I don't think we're in disagreement.
Yeah, but
Emotions have to be channeled.
Exactly. Now, if they're channeled, then that means you can control it. If you can channel something, you can control it.
Right.
Because the only way to channel it is to have control of it.
but the question was, do we have?
Can we control our emotions?
Can we control the emotion?
Yeah.
Right.
Not can we stop them. Not do we suppress them, because you can't suppress it. It's there.
We got it.
But
There.
the point that I'm making is they can be controlled.
Right.
Now, emotion is plaguing us as a people. Emotion is plaguing us as a people. Listen, the biggest emotional tie we have is to this. Now, people still say it. People still love it. It's still a part of some people. What I wrote on the board, in case y'all can't see it, is black. And y'all know the rules. Jump in the hot seat if anybody got something to say. I'm looking right at y'all. So, the biggest emotional tie we have to this, is the biggest emotional tie we have is black. Now we argue about it. People say, man, black power, this is who we are, Kemet this, Kemet that, blah, blah, blah. And this word don't go back past 500 years. But we so emotionally tied to it because of what we've been through. What I don't understand is why we so emotionally tied to this and not Negro. Negro's been around longer than that. That's what Martin Luther King used to say. Martin Luther King didn't say black. Go listen to the recordings. Malcolm X barely said black. They said Negro. Go listen to the tapes. But yet still, we still emotionally tied to this word. And because we can't control our emotions, we can't get past that. Look, Moors keep saying we not black. And that's a term that drives me crazy, the Moors. What the hell is the Moors? We all Moors, just because you're not conscious of it. You don't hear Chinese people saying the Chinese when they're talking about each other. Or Russians saying the Russians when they're talking about each other. Phone call from here, you can be doing push-ups.
My bad, baby.
I'm going to read the definition of emotion. Emotion is a noun. The etymology, French, from Latin. Emotio, emovio, to move from. Italian, emozione, literally a moving of the mind or soul. Hence, any agitation of the mind or excitement of sensibility. That's from the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. So that's what me and JW just established. Literally a moving of the mind or soul. Now, once that soul gets touched, sometimes we react. Whether it's laughing, whether it's crying, whether it's anger. Sometimes at a moment's notice, we react. Sometimes we don't never just take a step back and say. Now, like I told you, I'm an individual who had a serious attitude problem. And it's a full-time job just to be. And I'm just being honest. I've been working with myself every day to not allow myself to get angry about small stuff. The small stuff just sends me into a whirlwind. Petty stuff. Stuff that just don't make no sense. Like, you're a grown man, how could you? So I've been dealing with that every day. Controlling emotions. So anybody that's going to sit here and say you can't control emotion, I'm going to disagree because I do it every day, all day. I've done it right here in this class. Just like I said, there's been occasions in this class over the past year and a half when people got to popping off. And what y'all do? Y'all see me staying here quiet. I never react. I let them say what they got to say, and then I address it. But you never hear me cursing at nobody. You never hear me, well, I might yell a couple times. But for the most part, you don't see me lose my cool. Sometimes it ain't easy to stay here. In fact, I'll give you an example. Was it the last class? The test class. Y'all remember when I gave out that test? Mm-hmm. And I may have worded something other than the way I meant for it to be. Mm-hmm. And then people in this class thought that they was going to jump on me about it. Oh man, well you said it wrong. Okay, all right, I'll tell you what, next time, you come on up there. I ain't going to argue with you. All right, I'll put a wrong word in there. Okay, big deal. But yet I still stood here and still delivered and controlled myself. So we can control our emotions.
But you're talking about emotion in a way where the energy is making you angry or whatever. Can emotions be more like a positive thing?
Emotions can be positive.
So why would you want to control a positive emotion?
Why would you want to control positive emotion? Sometimes positive emotion make you do stuff that you probably shouldn't do. Like let's just say if you're feeling happy and feeling good about yourself, and the energy is good, then those are good emotions, right? And you might be feeling, you know what? I did a couple hours extra overtime, and now I got a couple little extra notes in my pocket. You might get a little extra generous when you should. Your emotion got you feeling good and got you feeling giving. You know what? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. When in reality, you should, because next week you might not have an overtime. Save that for you. So that good emotion might make you just go out and say, you know what? I'm gonna splurge. I'm gonna buy me some new shoes and some shirts and blah blah when you should. So I'm not saying all emotion is this, because it's not. That's why I put that one first. I did that deliberately. I put happy first. I put happy first. Go ahead, bro.
I kind of look at emotion as something that's going to be a continuous, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that you can really control is your reaction to that emotion, not actual emotion.
You can't stop emotion.
Right.
But right, the reaction, which is part of the emotion, is cause and effect. It's cause and effect, JW.
Okay, yeah, it's
It's cause and effect. So yeah, right.
But the emotion is there.
The emotion is there. I'm not saying I'm not saying stop the emotion.
Right.
So if I need to correct myself, then control the effect. If that pacifies everybody. Because I'm still saying the same thing. You can't stop from being happy.
Right.
You can't stop from being sad.
Right.
When somebody makes transition in your family, you can't stop from crying.
Right.
I'm not saying stop it. I'm saying just control your emotion, and not just like specifically anger. All types of emotion.
Right.
Just control it,
like
because emotion makes you move sometimes in ways you shouldn't.
Exactly. You could get overly excited and
Exactly.
happy about something.
Exactly.
And that would turn into hubris, and that will make you do something wrong.
That's what I was just explaining to the mother.
Right.
I'm not saying,
you know.
I'm not saying to stop the emotion, but your emotions come from inside of you, correct?
Right.
So why can't you control you? You think your mind is not that
Oh,
powerful?
yeah, well, first of all, we gotta realize now there's a lot of power being driven at, making someone feel a certain way.
Right.
Everybody is not, looking at what's being brought against them to make them feel this way.
Right. Some people don't know.
Such as, you know, the paper, the media. They throwing millions of dollars at us to make us feel a certain way.
They do it everywhere. They
They
do
do
it
it
on television, on the radio. They do
Right.
it every kind of way.
Right.
But-
So the thing is, we must bring ourselves to a point where we do what we intend on doing, do the right thing, with that in your face.
Are we saying the same thing?
In other words, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we're on the same page.
Right.
You know, but like I said earlier, your perception is your perception. But we saying the same thing.
Yeah.
You have something to say, Sean?
Oh, yeah. I think that emotions are forces, and they're energies that flow within the universe and through us. And the thing is that we only have two parts of ourselves, the higher self and the lower self. And the emotions are a part of the lower self, the animal self. So what we have to do is we have to seek balance between our higher and lower self, so we won't stay in that animal part of ourselves, which is the emotions. When we ascend to our higher self, that's ascending to a form of a higher consciousness. And so I think that it's important that we find a balance between the higher and the lower self.
Can y'all hear me through this microphone?
The definition on here, what we have, if we just read the definition, I think we're getting away from the definition. Emotional, literally, a moving of the mind or soul. Hence, any agitation of the mind or excitement of sensibilities. That is what emotion is.
Right.
So, everybody gonna have it.
I'm not saying that we don't have emotion. What I'm saying is simply control.
Control, I'm in
And
agreement
you
with
said
that.
that
That's
said
the
it
whole
three
thing.
different ways.
We have to, yeah,
But you said it 3 different ways. We agree.
okay,
In 3 different ways, we agree.
okay.
You just have to control the emotion. Go ahead.
Right.
No, I was gonna talk about that, but since you all agree, there's no
Yeah,
need for me to
yeah.
continue.
I think we're in agreement. Well, I'm not, listen, you're going to have emotion. I'm not saying that you're not. What I'm saying is control it.
Right.
Emotion is why we argue with each other about status and about little simple stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you got Hebrew Israelites. That's why you got Moors or conscious Moors. That's why you got the so-called Black Power movement. That's why you got all these people arguing emotion. Because now I'll give you an example. Now the same example I gave you the last time when Taj was in New York, and the brother walked up to Taj and said, "Explain to these brothers about being black." And Taj went all the way in. Taj never lost his cool. That dude, Imam Bashir, lost his damn mind. Going, they done made 15 different videos since that day. Emotion is driving them to do that.
Right.
Taj ain't made no videos.
Right.
When y'all ever see Taj flip out? Y'all think he don't want to?
Never.
I hang out with him at the house. I hang out with him at the house. Y'all think he don't want to? I'm just saying, listen, control it. Now, right there at the end of that definition, it says, hence, any agitation of the mind or excitement of sensibility. So I define sensibility as well, so now. And what it says is the capacity or acuteness of perception, the quality of the soul which renders it susceptible to impression, delicacy of feeling. That's emotion. That's emotion. All I'm saying is when we're talking about discipline, then one of the disciplines we need to learn is to control our emotions. When we learn to control our emotions, we can get a whole lot more done You done heard people say 1,000 times, don't make a decision when you're mad. Why? Because you're emotional. Don't say things when you're upset. Why? Because you're emotional. You're not controlling your emotion. When you say, leave the room if you got to. Come back later. If you just won the lottery, oh, hey, listen, hey, order me up a Bentley. Hey, you go over there, you order that house up there, you do it. And then you're going to be broke by the end of the week. Peace. I'm listening.
So, in relation to writ writing, how does that interplay with that? And how can you sort of connect the two?
Watch me. Watch me. Now, I'm going to give you an example. All right? I get a letter in the mail today, right? And this letter right here says that I owe Sabrina $17,000. Right? That's what that says. Omar, you with me? You with me? I think we might have lost it. Don't worry about it. All right,
Yeah.
all right, you with me? All right, I get a letter in the mail today. And I open the letter up and it says, I get a letter in the mail today. And this letter says that I owe Sabrina $17,000. And it says that it's due 14 days from the time I get this letter. Now, do I immediately sit down and start writing the writ?
I hope not.
Why not?
Because you have to think about what it is. First, you need information.
Before I get the information, go ahead, bro.
No, I was about to say it would be a little, you would be a little angry, like,
Exactly.
like who's this coming from?
Exactly. Because initially when I see it and it says that I owe $17,000, I'm going to have all kinds of feelings going through my body. The body and the soul, right? The excitement of the body, right? The emotion, right? So if I get this and I say, well, I can't even get it out. Because I'm so, so no. How does that tie in? When you're that emotional, you don't write. You sit it down. I got 14 days. I sit it down and I relax. However I relax. If I got to go run 6 miles, if I got to go hit the heavy bag, if I got to sit there and play video games all day and night, whatever I need to do to relax, I relax until I gain control of that emotion. When I have gained control of that emotion, now it is time for me to sit down and pick the letter up, read it, go through it, and now attack it. It's simple. Y'all, if y'all haven't read it, or y'all don't know nothing about it, go get the Art of War. Now, I told y'all before, I boxed for years, and I loved it. There's nothing like the sight of looking in a man's eyes when he's frustrated because you punching him in his face and he can't hit you. Might sound crazy, but it's fun. But I learned a lot from that. And the one biggest thing I learned was discipline and how to control my emotion. Because things might happen in that ring. I might get a dirty dude that want to keep hitting me in my hip, that hurts. You keep hitting me in my hip, that hurts. You keep hitting me in my hip, that hurts, I'm going to want to react. I got to control that emotion. And I got to step back, give him some space, and I got to outthink this dude. Now I'm looking at him, and I'm watching everything he do because I'm controlling my emotion. When it comes to grit writing, you step back and you watch everything, and you see everything that you can see once you have gained control of the emotion, and then you attack. Y'all follow me? Am I losing anybody? No. Any more questions, Candyland? Go ahead, bro. Hot seat.
No more, everything's good. Just wanted to sort of, that's a self-explanatory response.
All right.
I would like to touch on something when you started with this.
Mm-hmm.
We started with time. How many people in here use alarm clocks?
More, please more.
Don't need them.
I'll
How
tell you
many
what he
people
said.
use? Okay.
Yeah, we just wanted to let you know, 90% of the questions you can't hear.
I'll-
Brothers here, I think you have a problem with your microphone, but somehow either you're gonna have to sort of repeat the questions or.
All right,
Yeah.
what he's, repeat the question so I can repeat it for them.
how many people in here use an alarm?
How many people use an alarm clock to wake up? And I raise my hand, I do. There's only 2, 3 other people in the class that raise their hand. Anybody there using an alarm clock? Just one person there uses an alarm clock.
Why?
Why? Because I'm not an early riser. And if I don't set an alarm, I'm not going to get up when I need to get up.
No. Well, that's not it. You are crippled by using an alarm clock.
So he's saying I'm crippled because
you
I use
know
an alarm clock.
Like you said in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
you know what you have to do,
Mm-hmm.
what time you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is have it in here. You are the alarm
Okay.
clock.
So what he's saying is that I should mentally be able to, to mentally be able to wake up when I need to wake up. Now, I'll tell you why I don't. If I go to bed at 7 o'clock p.m., I'll get up at about 3 a.m. and then I can just go on and do what I do. The reason I don't do that is because for the past 2 years, my time is not my time. My time is your time. My time is everybody else's time. Through the amount of phone calls that I receive throughout the day, people calling me whenever they want to call me and ask me a million questions and keep me on the phone forever, and then I still got to respond. She laughing because she knows the truth. And I still got a responsibility to home. I still got a responsibility to my wife. I still got a responsibility to me. So sometimes I don't get done what I need to get done until 10 or 11 o'clock. And I'm not one of those individuals who can get up after 3 hours of rest and then sit in the tractor trailer and drive it consciously and control that truck, because driving that truck for me is stressful, because I got people jumping in front of me and slamming on the brake. I got people just cutting right across me. I got all types of stuff going on. So my brain is constantly working. So even though people say you just sitting and driving, it's a physical job. And it's a mental job, right? So my energy is drained throughout the day. So by me taking those phone calls, I'm getting even more emotionally drained. I'm getting even more physically drained. And then by the time I get home and Sabrina say, I need this done, then I gotta go do that. And now it's 9:30, and I'm like, man, I still gotta do this. I still gotta write that. So then I'm pushing into the 11 o'clock hour. So when 4 o'clock comes, I ain't trying to hear it. Not me personally, my body is not trying to hear it. My body is going to do what it wants to do. I can fight it, but then I lose in the long run. So if I don't set the alarm clock, I'm not going to get up. But because I'm responsible, I set the alarm clock and I get up and still go do what I got to do, tired at night. So if I'm crippled, I'm crippled. But at the same time, like I said, my time is not my time. If I wasn't standing up here, if I wasn't trying to facilitate so much and see so many people and meet this one and meet that one and do this one, hey, I go to bed at 7, 8 o'clock and get up. She'll tell you I used to be in the bed religiously, sleep 9:30, and right back up when it was time. I didn't really need the clock then. But that was a couple years ago. I don't have that luxury no more. And I ain't complaining. I love every minute of standing right here. I love every minute of the phone calls, even though it gets frustrating and tiring, I still do. So if that's crippling me, one love. If that's crippling me, then hey, I don't know what to say about that. Go ahead, bro.
Just like you were saying, there's what's called a circadian clock.
Hold on a second. Okay, take the microphone so Kenny can hear.
There's what's called a circadian clock, and what he was talking about. And you know, if you get up early in the morning, the reason I didn't raise my hand to the clock.
Bring us up.
The reason I didn't raise my hand to the clock because I'm retired now. I don't have to get up like I used to.
Yeah.
At 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, I used to run trains for Amtrak. So I can't afford to be late.
Put the mic closer.
Yeah, I couldn't afford to be late. So just like he was saying, I would have to use a clock at that point because I would go to bed sometime late, and I couldn't afford to miss the train because they wouldn't, you know, they don't tolerate that. So I had to use a clock at that time myself. And there's, like I was saying before, there's what's called the circadian rhythm of time that you're living by. So automatically people want to sleep when their melanin should be working to repair itself from the hours of 9 to around 4 in the morning. We tend to fall, get tired anyway. So that's all I wanted to say. Is that on?
Next question on the list is, can we control ego? Now, without anybody looking at the definition, put that paper down, put that paper down, put that paper down. Without anybody looking at the definition, and I'm posting this to YouTube, can anybody tell me what ego is? Without looking at the paper. Your self-worth.
Easing God out.
Easing God out.
Yep.
Ego. You had something to say, bro?
I lost it.
He lost it. Go ahead, bro.
Ego is a selfish, self-centered emotion based off of lower principles.
Ego is a selfish, self-centered emotion based off of what kind of principles? Selfish.
Lower principles.
Lower principles.
Me, I, my.
So basically, what he's saying is me, I, my. So basically, ego is something or someone that's all about self.
Precisely.
Right? Good.
It's the personality taken on by the carnal body.
Personality taken on by the carnal body.
False pride.
False pride. Go ahead, Magoo.
The conditioned self.
The conditioned self. Go ahead, bro.
The lower self.
The lower self. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
It's our blessing in disguise.
The carnal body.
It's who?
It's our blessing in disguise.
It's our blessing in disguise. Now, I'm going to repeat what they say. Now, he said it's our blessing in disguise. Anybody in here disagree with that?
No.
Raise your hand.
No.
Now I'm going to ask y'all a question. If everybody in here just said that it was something negative, and he just said it's a blessing in disguise, why didn't y'all raise your hands when I asked if you disagree with what he said? It can't be something negative and a blessing in disguise at the same time. Forget the embarrassment. We family in here. So I don't want to hear nothing about I'm embarrassed and nothing like that. Listen, if you disagree, you disagree. Don't, because I'm sitting there smiling when he said it and I asked that question.
You need to explain what his blessing is in disguise.
Bro, can you come back and explain what the blessing in disguise is? Qualify what you're saying?
It's our blessing in disguise because it's an energy that is actually challenging us to be better. We can't see things for face value. You have to look deep within to get the answer. And through time, you'll learn to understand what's actually happened to you. But if you react, you won't get it. It's like being in the dark. You can't see things in front of you, but if you look at your peripheral vision, you see things clearer. You can't see things directly because it'll blur your vision. So, I don't know if it makes any sense over there, but this is how I see it. It's something that you have to kind of take time to connect to. But you don't connect to it instantly. It's something that has to happen for you to evolve to catch. If you want to catch it, stay where you are. If you move towards it, you'll catch it. It makes you move.
Now, I'm going to read the definition of ego. And just so you know, ego is not in the 1828 dictionary. I had to go to the American Heritage Dictionary in the English language, 3rd edition. It's not in the 1828. So that means that it probably wasn't using the word ego in the 1828. Ego, now, New Latin from Latin. I said New Latin from Latin. That's like saying New English from English. That means that somebody created some other form of some Latin language and called it New Latin from Latin. This is in the dictionary, I ain't making it up. Now, from the definition, it says the self, especially as distinct from the world and other selves. In psychoanalysis, the division of the psyche that is conscious most immediately controls thought and behavior and is most in touch with external reality. The third definition says an exaggerated sense of self-importance, conceit. 3b, appropriate pride in oneself, self-esteem. Now, that definition that I read you of ego goes against everything that you know about ego, except for 3A where it says conceit and a little bit of self-importance. That part of thought that is conscious, that is most in tune with the external world. That's not the type of ego, that we actually thought about when I said what's the definition of ego. Everybody thought about 3A, conceit. And people saying, yeah, well, you know, I'm just, yeah, I'm me, I'm the stuff. This is why we need to look stuff up. Now, you want to ask me what does that have to do with Rip writing? How many people in here actually thought they knew what ego meant? Now, when you write Rips, you actually need to know what words mean when you write them. I don't just do stuff arbitrarily, y'all. I don't do stuff arbitrarily. It's a reason for this stuff. I was the same way. I thought ego was something else as well. I ain't gonna say and act like I was any different. Big up to Brooklyn. Go ahead.
Islam, everyone.
Islam.
All it is, you have the positive and the negative. Right?
Yeah, she said you have the positive and the negative.
Yes.
Talking about ego, right?
Well, because I said all of them, just the emotions and ego. There's a positive and a negative, because that's what life is about. It depends upon how you use them, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Everything is ebb and flow. Everything is positive.
You know, so there's nothing can be negative about ego if it's used correctly and with love. Because if you use it negative, it's going to destroy you. But if you use it positive, it can build you. But you're not trying to hurt anyone. But you got to have it.
Ego can't be all negative. Right. If it's negative, then it has to be some positive. You can't have one without the other. You can't have day without night. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't think, like, even some of those characteristics, even deceit, you know, that's not always negative. Especially in a situation where when you get kidnapped and you in a warehouse and you don't know what you're doing, but you kick an alias because you know you need to get up out of there. You know what I mean? That's deceitful, but you did what you had to do.
It didn't say anything about deceitful. It said conceit.
Conceit. Sometimes conceit is not a bad thing. Think about a person who has very low self-esteem. Something happens in their life, they may need that. Sometimes it'll balance that out. For them to be conceited about themselves and bring their esteem up, then they can balance it out.
I'm gonna ask a favor of y'all. For anybody who has a comment, just do me a favor. Come up here and take the microphone because they struggling to hear y'all. They trying to hear what it is y'all saying. We Skyping with Toronto, just in case for those who don't know. So for whatever reason, the other microphone ain't working. I don't know, but just either speak up loudly so they can clearly hear you, or just come up, stand next to me, and take the microphone. All your comments are appreciated. So the question still remains: Can we drop the ego?
No.
Should we drop the ego?
No. No.
Okay. Next question. Can we humble ourselves? Now, without looking at the definition, somebody tell me what humble means. Go ahead, bro.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Right.
A certain type of humility. That we should practice and learn.
That we should practice and learn. Anybody else?
Unconceited.
Unconceited. Toronto? Anybody want to chime in on what humble means? What does humble mean?
Humble?
Humble, yeah. What does humble mean?
Subservient.
Who's reading the definition? Tell them to stop reading the definition, man.
What's the definition?
No, I'm telling you to tell them to stop reading the definition.
Sorry?
Tell them to stop reading the definition.
No, they're not.
Okay. All right. Subservient and submissive. We're going to read the definition. It's French. It's French. Humble, Latin, humilis, supposed to be from humus, the earth or its root. humble, low, opposed to high or lofty, lowly, modest, meek, submissive, opposed to pride, haughty, arrogant, or assuming, from the 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Can we humble ourselves, or should we humble ourselves?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, got the mother in the hot seat. I'll get to you in 1 second, sis. Anybody else? Should we humble ourselves?
Yeah.
Excuse me, it depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation.
As a warrior, can I say this? In battle,
Come on, man. I know you speak louder than that.
in battle, in war,
Uh-huh.
our teacher says to me, we always humble, even when we are at our greatest time of defeat or we're in our greatest time of victory. But we have to go into any battle at any time. Humbleness is the best way to be.
So what the brother's saying is, when you go into battle, he was taught by his teacher to always be humble. Whether you winning or whether you losing, always be humble. That's always the best way to be. Go ahead, sister.
Yeah, we should be humble ourselves because it makes it seem like someone else's needs and wants are above our needs and wants. So I don't think there is any situation for us to be. And they use that humbleness in slavery and in everything else because they wanted us to make it seem like we were lower than the slave master.
So basically what you're saying is we shouldn't humble ourselves. So is that what you're saying, that we shouldn't humble ourselves?
No, sir.
You saying we should humble ourselves?
Pardon me?
Are you saying we should or we shouldn't? Are you saying we should or we shouldn't humble ourselves?
We should not humble ourselves.
Okay. She's saying that we should not humble ourselves, and she's going back into history. She's talking about the time when our ancestors were in bondage. And she's saying that they forced humbleness on us. And you right there, you see it says in the definition, lowly, submissive. So she's saying since they forced it on us in the time of bondage, that we shouldn't humble ourselves. Anybody disagree?
Only thing I say,
I disagree.
Go ahead, bro.
I personally feel as though humbleness comes from, it came before we were slaves.
Hold on, bro.
Before any of our ancestors were slaves.
Right.
So that's part of our character, and our character is to be the best example.
Right.
And sometimes, and we already are great, so we don't have to boast of anything, and being humble just shows part of our character, just shows our greatness.
Now, talk about humbleness. I stand here in front of y'all humbled all the time. When I be coming up on the elevator, when I come through the door, when I come in here and I be greeting people and I be saying what's up, when I'm up there in Canaan land with y'all, I'm extremely humble. I get chills. I'll be having butterflies because I'm like, all right, it's game time. Now I gotta get up in front of these people and talk to them. And it's extremely humbling. Now, what's even more humbling is this. I'm not the youngest person in there. I'm not, you know, when they talk about speaking to your peers, you're typically usually talking about people of your certain age. SetenRa, brother right there, Rossi Mill. Well, I got J.W. Bey sitting here. I got Moose sitting here. I got Taj sitting here. I got Miss Shirley sitting right here. I got elders in here actually listening to me, calling me on the phone, and actually saying, I really enjoyed that class. I really enjoy listening to what you got to say. That's like the most humble, and half the time I don't even know what to say. Because I'm humbled by it. Does that mean that I'm lowly? Nah. Does that mean that I'm submissive? No. That's not that part of that definition. You need to humble yourself. Now, as the mother said, you ain't got to do it all the time. Because in some situations, you got to put your foot down. But for the most part, be humble. Be humble. For the most part, be humble. But when it's time to put your foot down, put your foot down. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I agree. You can't be humble all the time, but humbleness for the student. And it sounds to your student, and it sounds to your master. most times you are student because everything around you, you're learning from it. And you can't learn as a master, but you won't learn from when you're a student, the environment.
Did y'all get what he
As a
said?
student, you have to humble yourself.
Did y'all get what he said clearly?
No.
He said, when you're the student, you should be humble. And when you're humbled as a student, that's because you're listening. Because you can't talk and listen at the same time. And when you listen, you learn. You see children when they run around and they don't know certain words. How they pick them up? From listening to you. Your child don't come out saying, F that. They don't know that until they hear you say it. So they listen and they learn. You ain't realizing that they're the student. They ain't in preschool yet. They ain't in second, third grade yet. So you're thinking, oh no, no, he's learning every minute of his life. So humble yourself, learn, and learn to listen. I sat on the phone with this brother the other day, and he'll tell you, I was quiet as a mouse, listening to the elder dropping on me. And what I said, nah, go ahead, I'm loving it. I'm sitting there putting together a bookshelf while he going in. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. I'm enjoying every minute. You know why? Because I don't know everything. I know some stuff, but I don't know everything. I can learn from this little baby girl sitting right here. She might teach me some act right. Who knows? But while the elder was dropping it on me, I was taking it in. You know why? I humbled myself and I shut up and listen. Now, in reality, I can be like, man, you sitting there listening to me. We was on the phone, like, hey, look, he was dropping it and I'm absorbing. I humbled myself and I listened. Now, if he had been on the phone and he had been like, look, Nick, whoa. All that humbleness goes out the window. So then the mother was just saying, that humbleness all the time, no. But because it was respectful and it was love, I humbled myself and I accepted it. So can we humble ourselves? Yes. Should we humble ourselves? Yes. But just like every other emotion, what are we going to do with it?
Control.
We're going to control it. Now, what's that got to do with rip writing? I'm asking y'all, what's that got to do with rip writing? Humbleness. What does humbleness have to do with rip writing?
It helps you to rightly divine what you need to say.
There you go. Say it again, please.
It helps you to rightly divine what you need to say.
You stay humble in your writings, and it'll just come out. When you're arrogant and you cocky, and you wonder why you didn't get the response you wanted, humble yourself. Be stern though, and put your foot so far up, they taste your foot. But be humble and write it. If y'all get what I'm saying, I hope I ain't losing nobody. I'm saying be nice and mean at the same time. I'm saying be nice and mean at the same time. The next question, can we give service with sincerity? Yes or no? Can we give service with sincerity?
Yes.
Yes. Should we do it?
Yes.
Do we do it? No.
All the time.
Sometimes. I heard all the time, I heard sometimes. I'm saying no.
I'm saying no as well.
We should, but we don't. I can stand here and talk about what I do all day. You can stand here and talk about what you do all day. But us as a collective, as a whole, we performing under par. And we wonder why we lose it. We wonder why people say what they say about us. Listen, I was last week, we was riding down, coming down the street, and we rode past the masjid, right? They was having a flea market, Saturday and Sunday outside the masjid. Big old beautiful building, right? Why we don't have a building, yo? I'm asking a question.
Not sincere.
Not sincere. Go ahead, bro.
Lack of unity.
Lack of unity. No discipline. What else?
Ego.
Ego. You know why? Oh man, look, man, I'm gonna do it by myself. I don't need them. I just go to the classes to get whatever information I can get. I can't do nothing by myself. I got my bodyguard sitting right here. I don't do it by myself. Do I come up with these concepts and all of this stuff by myself? No. I just told y'all, everything that we reading came from a meeting that we had last week. All I did was define the words and put this list together. But it wasn't my questions. The questions was posed to me. So then I just expounded on them, and now I'm posing them to y'all. We should be better off. We come to the York House every couple of weeks, right? The York House don't belong to us. At any given time, they can say, all right, listen, the classes, they over. In fact, what's that man's name? Lindy?
Yeah.
I think we were either in here or downstairs, and that European man that owns this building came and stood right in the class. And stood there. And he listened. And he could have simply said, oh no, not in here. Then where was we gonna go?
Park.
To the park.
got license?
Where was we gonna go? If at any given time, the owner of that building that you're sitting in says, y'all got to go, where y'all gonna go?
Find a place, come to my house.
And listen, and I'm talking to Toronto, and I've been to Toronto quite a bit. So I know it's a lot of them cats because I've interacted with them. I've interacted with them. I laugh and joke and shake hands with them. We take pictures at Drew Ali Day, and there's 50, 60 people in the picture. So I know it's a gang of them, and I know all of them ain't even there. They should have a huge building. We should have a huge building. A couple weeks ago, when I just asked a simple question, I said by show of hands, how many people in there gave a donation? And 3 people out of 42 raised their hands. 3 people out of 42. Now, look, big deal. Y'all don't want to donate, that's on y'all. That's on y'all. I'm going to be here anyway.
I need rims on my car, man. I need a
Well,
flat
it's
screen
rims.
TV.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be here regardless. But, when y'all be saying, we need, all right. Where's for? I'm supposed to pull it out of my pocket? Pull the fiat out of my pocket and say, here, you take it? I should be able to say, oh, we done collected about $4 grand in donations. Let me go ahead and grab it out of there. Now, I'm gonna let y'all in the little seat. Y'all know we got the fund that we working on for the school, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
All right. Now, on this part, we got the donations that stay at the York House J.W. Bey got. Now, how about, we only been taking them donations for the school since like, what, last October? I gathered a couple hundred in donations in Canaan Land. They just gave it to me here, this is for the school. Now, I got more donations in the school fund than we got in donations from the York House since November 2013. Makes sense of that. Go home and let that fester. But I stay disciplined. I stay here. And I ain't going nowhere. But if y'all want the things y'all say y'all want, let's make it happen. And I'm not, listen, don't get me wrong. I ain't taking off my fez and saying drop something in it. You ain't got to drop it in. You know why? Because the school won't get done anyway. The building is going to get got anyway. Deal with that. Ego. I don't let it control me. I'm not going to let it control me. Humbleness. I have it. I live with it. I cherish it. You got, listen, I said it before. We sit in this room, and amongst us, we got Taj Tarik Bey sitting right there. Now, Taj is just Taj. Taj is a regular old dude, right? But at the same time, he ain't. It's people all over the world that have cut off their pinky finger to be able to do what y'all doing right now. Sit right there, that close to that man. That's right. Sit there, that close to that dude. I ain't cutting off my pinky, Ty. There's people who would literally cut off their pinky just to brush his shoulder, just to get a bit of what y'all get all the time. Yeah, that was funny. Me and Taj was in Home Depot, and look, Taj was like this, looking at some lumber, right? So the dude walking by, they ain't see his face, y'all know what he saw. You see the fro, right? My man, Taj had his back, and my man said, Taj? Taj looked up, and the brother said, hey man, listen man. Shook his hand, hey listen man, you see these in your books got me out a whole lot of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he went on about his business. He probably went home and told everybody, yeah, I seen Taj, yeah man, you know, yeah. He was happy as hell though. It happened twice that same day, in that same Home Depot. In that same Home Depot. Discipline, emotion, sincerity, service, humbleness, all of this stuff needs to be a part of all of us, because we can't win if we're not in control of it. We got to be in control of it, or we're going to continue to lose. We keep on talking about, I got you, we keep on talking about, man, they ain't accepting my rich. Man, they ain't doing this, they ain't doing that. You know why? Because you're just putting words on paper. People say the rich don't work. It's not the rich that don't work. It's your mind that doesn't work. It's your mind that doesn't work, because you get angry and you react. And you just start writing. Sabrina, you know how many times Sabrina said, when you gonna start working on that rip? I got it. It'd be a whole week later. I've been formulating in my head the whole week. I've been trying to relax and thinking about what it is that's been said to me and how I need to respond to them. Now, if you think Ritz don't work, they work on you all the time, because all they do is write you Ritz. Now, if you think they don't work, they work on you all the time. They say, yo, you owe me $17,000. I want it by Friday. You can oh God, $17,000. I'm going to get $17,000 by Friday. They work all the time on you. So don't say they don't work. No, it's your brain that's not working. Because you think that you don't have control of all the stuff that we just went over to help keep you composed, to help you do what it is that you need to do. All of that stuff is vitally important. Even when we talk about discipline and the management of time. Because if you let time get away from you, then you lose everything. You need to take control of time instead of letting time control you. Now, before I read, you wanted to say something before I read?
Yeah, just wanted to say that fear is an underlying factor in all of this that keeps us back.
True.
We are such a fearful people.
Let's talk about it. What's she saying?
Even when we're yelling and doing whatever and up in people's faces, still it's all coming from fear.
What she's saying, Candy Man, is fear is what's really controlling us. Fear is something, because fear can work one of two ways. Fear can make you fold, or fear can make you react. That's all got to do with you. That's all. How it affects you has got to do with you as an individual, as a person. Now, I'll give you an example. If I'm walking down the street and I hear something up behind me just tapping, and I turn around and I see a Rottweiler, fear is going to make me do one of two things. It's going to make me freeze and get bit, and it's going to make me run as fast as I can. Fear is going to do one of two things. It's going to make you react one of two ways. Either you're going to react or you're going to freeze.
On public transportation.
A lot of people, they get fearful and they freeze. A lot of people let fear control them, another emotion, instead of them controlling the fear. Let me tell you how I control myself. I step back and I think. Because a lot of times I want to step forward and react. But if I step forward and react, it could be the wrong move. If I step back and think and I can see clearly now I can move. Because I can see clearly, when before I was like this and I was smothering myself. I can't see, you know what I'm saying? Whoever is right there, I can't see. But if I step back and my hand is right there, I see all of y'all. I step back here and I can't see. I step back, I see everybody. I even see the wheelchair coming through the door and the person who just walked by out of my peripheral vision. We can control our emotions. The question is, will you control your emotions? That's the question. I'm gonna read just a little bit from chapter 1, creation of man, creation and fall of man, from the Surah 7 Holy Quran. I like this chapter. It says, time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. Is time infinite or is time finite?
Infinite.
What's infinite mean?
Forever.
Forever. So does that mean all we have is time? I'm asking the question.
No.
No? Who said no?
I did.
Why?
Because if you do not move in a particular period and point, you may lose what you're trying to obtain.
Now, most people would think that because time is infinite and there's nothing but time in the universe, that we got all the time in the world. I'm 39. I was just 25. I was just 25. I'm 39. And what, 7 months I'll be 40. Right? So time goes on. Although it's infinite, it doesn't stand still and it goes on. Although there's nothing but time around us, you need to control the time around you. It says time never was when man was not. That means as long as there's been time, there's been man. There's been mind. So that means you, man, control your mind, control your time. When you control your mind, you control the time around you. You control everything around you. You can't control other people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about controlling your space. I can't control none of y'all. I can only control me. I can only control the time around me. You lost game. What time is it? 2:11. All right, we're gonna move. We're gonna wrap up around 3. When we talk about writ writing, a lot of people, just let me ask this, just by show of hands. How many people in here have not written a writ yet? All right, so for everybody whose hand is not raised, that means you've written a writ. How many of y'all have gotten responses or some form of success or what you want to call a victory from your writs? Victory on your behalf. So everybody's hand didn't go up. So if you're not embarrassed, somebody raise your hand and tell me why you think your writ didn't get you any results. Go ahead, bro.
Personally, because I can't say that it was done wrong. I just didn't have the faith and the complete understanding of the document that I had in my possession. So it was like it wasn't real, because even though it was written properly by the proper sources and everything, it just wasn't.
Did you write the writ?
Myself.
Did you write the writ?
No, I didn't.
Somebody wrote it for you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what I'm asking is for somebody who actually wrote their own writ, who felt like they didn't get results. Now, I'm gonna get back to you. But for somebody who actually wrote the writ, listen, don't be embarrassed. I've written writs and they was like, yeah, okay. Ain't nobody gonna ask me what I did.
What you do?
I went back to the drawing board and I put it together the right way. Now, the thing is this. If you write a writ and you don't get the desired results, what you need to do is ask yourself why you didn't get the desired results. What is it that you didn't do? Now, the brother just said he didn't have faith in the writ that was written. Islam, Abdul. Islam, Mo. He said he didn't have faith in the writ that was written, but he didn't write it himself. That's the problem. Because whatever it is that you're addressing, if you don't fully understand it, don't address it. You do whatever it is you need to do to stay on track until you clearly understand what it is that you're doing, and then you address it. You don't go, you listen, it's like Taj said, you don't go trying to fight Mike Tyson and you ain't trained. Mike gonna knock your head off. Count on that. This fake, false, de facto, whatever you want to call it, they gonna knock your head off. As soon as they see that you can't fight, they gonna knock your head off. And if they see that you can fight, they gonna try. They still gonna try. They might stand. Might not get knocked out, but they gonna try to go the distance. They gonna take you. If it's a 100-meter dash, they gonna run every 100 meters of it, even though you got them beat by 3 seconds already. Why always go over words? Why always go over stuff? Because they use them. They use them. A couple weeks ago, I put all this stuff on the board, and just using trickery, I tricked all of y'all. And I did it purposely because they're going to do it, because I want you to see it. What was Ernst, what was, I think we was on the phone. You might have been telling me about something, and I said something about it, and I said, see, I hear everything. I think it was yesterday. I don't remember what the conversation was, but she said something. It's just little stuff. I hear it. I hear it. You always supposed to expect the unexpected. Always expect the unexpected, because that's what they're going to throw at you. Now, if you don't understand what it is that they're throwing at you, then you need to get into them books, or you need to make a call to somebody who got books, so you can get into them books. Stop calling and asking for help if you haven't tried yourself. If you don't know what you're doing, don't get started in writing these rips. Like I said before, they ain't hard, but it ain't too easy either, because you need to be specific, and you need to be calculated, and your attack needs to be precise. You ain't just sitting around just saying, I don't owe you because you are a European and I'm a Moor. Chill, man, I wrote a rip and I smashed it. All right? All right? They're governed by statutes, they're governed by codes, they're governed by ordinances. You're not, but they are. That means you should read them. So that way when you go in there, smack them. It ain't nothing better than to stop somebody in their track. Imagine, so you, what they call them guys, matadors, and you just going and going. I think it was Bugs Bunny, right? He's sitting there and he got the waving the thing, right? And the bull just coming and he coming. So Bugs sits there and hold the thing and then, boom, bull ran into an anvil, stopped him dead in his tracks. Bugs walked off laughing. The moral of that story, get yourself an anvil called study. Get yourself an anvil and hide it behind the cloak. And when they come running at you full speed, move it out the way. But if you ain't studying, if you're not understanding these words that you should, not understanding and understanding these codes and ordinances and this Constitution and those Articles of Confederation and that Treaty of Peace and Friendship that your ancestors put in place for them, then don't be writing no writs. Don't be writing no writs. Am I telling you to be passive? No. I'm telling you to study. I'm telling you to get on track. I'm not saying you was 100% wrong for having somebody write that writ for you. But don't be having nobody write no writs for you. Real talk. Imagine like this. Imagine like this. Now, yeah, well, that's what writing writs is, casting spells. But imagine this, right? Imagine you come home from work and you tired. I'm gonna use this example, and I'm gonna be clean with it. Imagine coming home from work and you're tired, and your wife wants you to do something to her, but you're tired, and you ain't feeling really confident about I'm gonna be able to perform tonight. Do you get somebody else to do it for you?
Wow. Hope not.
Tell them, listen, I'm tired, I'll see you tomorrow. Same thing with writing these writs. Same thing with writing these writs. Listen, don't think that this stuff won't come back to bite you in the butt. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. They know that. Now, the one thing that you have that they don't have is you be knowing law. How many DVDs y'all watch? How many classes y'all been to? How many lectures y'all listen to? Y'all know law. Y'all know law. That fear is what keep y'all from spitting law. Listen, I ain't no more of a bigger or important human being than one of y'all are. And sometimes I just be saying stuff and don't even be knowing where it come from. Because I've read it so many times. It's because I've heard it so many times, just like y'all. Y'all know law. So when the writs come, then just take a step back and take a deep breath. And if it's 2 days that goes by before you start writing, then so be it. Let them 2 days go by. Because after them 2 days, it's game time. Put your game face on. But y'all know. Y'all know. When you hear stuff and you be like, oh yeah, that's right. It's because you know you didn't forget. You can't ever forget anything. You remember everything. You just need a reminder to wake you up and say, oh yeah, that's right. That is what that is. Article 4 of the Constitution did say that. You know what? The article in the Constitution sounds just like the article in the Confederation. Made in the Articles of Confederation. It's because you know. The same thing with y'all. Don't think that the Constitution and the Articles of Confederation don't apply to y'all, because when you read the Articles of Confederation, them cats up there that's in occupation of Canaan land where you are agreed to be a part of these chunks down here. They're brother and sister. When I come to Canaan land and I see the Star Spangled Banner right here and the Fleur de Luce right here and the space in between, they tell me I came across that space and now I left there and went there, but the street looked the same. I ain't get no chills. I ain't get wet. Did nothing happen. But you telling me because I changed flags and I'm now in the Queensland, even though I'm in the Queensland now, even though I'm in Queensland now, they don't tell you that. But up there, everything is Queen Elizabeth. In fact, they got Victoria Day in a couple of days. Queen Elizabeth Highway. You got to take Queen Elizabeth Highway from Niagara Falls to get to Toronto. And then she got the Queen everything, Queen everywhere. And you telling me just because I went from here to there, that I went somewhere different. You got to be clear on this type of stuff. When you write writs, you got to be 100% clear where you are and who you are. If you don't know where you are, if you don't know where you are is the land, not the corporation, then you're going to lose. You got to know the difference. You got to know the difference between the land and the corporation. If you don't know, don't write. That same corporation is in control of the municipality you might be in, the city, whatever you want to call it. It's part of one big conglomerate. But the land is North America. The land is North America. How many people in here on Facebook? I put something on Facebook. I was reading Bata News last night, and they was talking about a guy from Kazakhstan fighting a guy from Philadelphia, Willie the Worm Monroe's son, right? Now, they didn't call him an African American, or they didn't call him black or anything. They said the Kazakh is fighting in North America. Just little stuff that I see. They say the Kazakh is fighting in North America. That brother look like us. But ain't nobody gonna pick up on that. They just gonna think, oh well, North America, you know, he live in Philly, North America. A little deeper. A little deeper. Dig deeper. Push the envelope. This same state of people that be in this classroom, that be in this room all the time, we should be what's called a delegation. Y'all know it hit the fan right here in Philly. That's where your nationality was taken. It's only fitting that the fight start back right here in Philly. All right. And Shaq and Maxim. We should be a delegation. Yep. I'm standing here talking to y'all, but y'all ain't no dummies. I talk to y'all. I hear the stuff y'all say. I talk to y'all. Ain't none of y'all dummies. We should be a delegation. Canaan land. delegation. I already know how many of y'all it is up there. I've been up there. I done broke bread with y'all. A delegation. If you having a problem writing your written, you can talk to him about it. What you think about this? But you need to write it. But only when you're ready. If you're not ready, don't write it. Don't go to him and say, can you write this for me? And then when you get locked up and they got you held kidnapped, they got you holding you for ransom, don't blame it on him. You shouldn't have been getting involved in something you ain't understand. Remember the movie Malcolm X? You always said, Mr. X, I want to be a Muslim. He said, well, son, you know what that means to be a Muslim? He said, no. He said, well, you shouldn't be so quick to join something you don't know nothing about. And what did he do? He got dejected and he was ready to walk off. And Malcolm said, hold up. It shouldn't be so easy to give up either. A lot of people give up. You know why? Because it's easier to give up. It's easier to run than it is to stand and fight. Everybody's not a fighter. And if you ain't a fighter, then don't start none. You can still declare your nationality and still correct your status and not go through some of the stuff that other people go through. Still correct your status. I'm a slugger. I like to fight. That don't mean she has to. She don't have to because I do. I'll fight for her. I'll fight for you. I'll fight for the baby. But listen, if you're not a fighter, don't start no fights. If you know that you're fearful, you know that you're scary, and you know that you know, behind closed doors might be a coward, don't go jumping up in no bully's face. Because the corporation is a bully, and they're going to hit you as hard as they can every chance they get. Islam, bro. All right. Let me get back to these sheets so we can finish up and get out of here. This is like some elementary school stuff, but it's valuable information. 8 parts of speech. Without looking at the list, can anybody name them? Stop looking at the list, getting familiar with them. Can anybody name them? Speak up.
Noun, pronoun.
Noun, pronoun.
Verb.
Verb. Adjective. Who? Prepositions. Conjunction. Adverbs.
Interjection.
Interjection. Now, it was silence in this room when I said, can anybody name them? Now, did you forget? Nah, it's just been a little while. Because you can't forget. It's just been a little while. That's why I put them on. That's why I define them. That's why I put words next to them to make you familiar with them. You know why? Because when you write writs, you need this information. Canaan land. Don't worry about this. All of this information that I'm reading, you'll have tomorrow. I didn't get the opportunity to email it to Omar in time, so you'll have this list tomorrow. What? Yeah. In fact, I'll send it before we log off. The first word on here is a verb. A verb is an action or a state. An action or a state. Now, words that's associated with, or words that actually are verbs: to, be, have, do, like, work, sing, can, and must. Any other verbs that you can think of off the top of your head? It's too quiet in there. Run. Talk. Speak. Paint. Talk to me, y'all. It's too quiet in there.
Help.
This is a problem. This is a problem. Because you should be spitting them out.
Yep.
You are the most intelligent people this planet has to offer. Is that me being what they call racist? No. That's me being realistic. You taught them, and now they teach you. You taught them, and now they teach you. You're talking about rip writing, and you can't even, come on, man. A simple verb, and nobody can't tell me what one is. The next word on the list is noun. Person, place, or thing. Somebody give me one.
Mother.
Mother.
Ball.
House.
Man, woman.
Dog.
Lamp. Ball.
It's too quiet. It's entirely too quiet in there.
York House.
It's entirely too quiet. And you talking about right rate. Now, if you can't answer me when I ask you what it now is, how you gonna answer the man when he say you owe him 17 grand? How you gonna answer the man when he say you gotta come see me and turn yourself in and do these 3 months? How you gonna answer the man when he say you ran that light? You can say he ain't the man, whatever. But you understand what I'm saying? When they say, listen, you ran that light. A light is what? What part of speech is a light? It's a noun. You ran the light. What's the verb? Come on then. Y'all know this stuff. You ain't forget. It's just been a little while.
It's mainly a fear of being incorrect. Like, you know, because you know, it can hurt you if you don't actually study exactly what you're doing to a specific level.
Thank you for that.
I'm constantly, I try to like buy, you know, you buy the etymology dictionary, you buy the dictionaries, the law dictionaries, but having time to study those things is the hardest part for me.
Come here for a second.
Social engineering.
Come here for a second. Now, what the brother said is this. It's the fear of being incorrect, right? The fear of being incorrect, the fear of losing, all of that stuff, right? Now, when I talked about fear earlier, I said it's gonna make you react, respond one of two ways. Either you're gonna run, or you're gonna freeze, right? Dog coming, you got a choice. You run or you freeze. Now, either way, you might get bit, because you ain't going out running really, but you may run. So that means you want to take action. Running is taking action. Standing, you just gave up. You just served yourself up. Now, if the fear of being incorrect is what haunts you, how do you correct that?
Studying harder. That's the only way I can see. Like,
all right. Studying harder. You say studying harder, right? Don't worry about studying harder. Just worry about studying. Don't worry about studying harder. Just study. Whatever it is that you need to address, that specific. Ain't no need in going off in the left field. What you need ain't in left field. Straight down in center field. Stay in center field. Play your position. Don't go over there. That's what we got a left fielder for. Right? So whatever it is that you need to address that. Research that. Study that. The problem is we got a lot of people studying too much. Too many different things, and their brain get flooded and they don't know which way to go. They don't know that up is that way and down is that. Because their brain is flooded. Slow down. Specifically, what it is you're working on, you study. If you got a specific situation, go at that. So you don't need to be trying to fight PGO, PGW, and the water department all at the same time. Pick one. PGW, I got you. Done with you. So now you got some information, you got some intel on how to deal with that. PGO's next. Now I done slayed 2 dragons. We're gonna get the 3rd. Take your time. Don't worry about studying harder. Just study. The law book ain't no different than no other book. That Black's Law Dictionary right there, you can see where I done folded pages and highlighted and highlighted and highlighted and highlighted. I ain't do it all in the same day. It's been over the course of a couple years. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Nothing was built in a day. Now, if you see a building and they start construction at 6 o'clock in the morning and they get done at 6 o'clock that night, it still wasn't done in a day because the schematics was done before that. The whole thought, the process to say that plot of land right there is good for that building was done before that. So it wasn't built in a day because the building process started way back then. Your process can't be, all right, I'm going to sit down and do this and that's it. No. Your process has to be, let me take a step back, let me look at it, let me choose my plan of attack. Find out if anybody else had that same fight. Hey, listen, can you give me a little help? Can you give me some pointers? Ain't nothing wrong with that. You still need to write it because it still needs to come